Means we need to install 1/2 of the rear main seal and lube the bearings. This engine's not going to sit around. It's going from the stand to the dyno where we will prime it. So Joe Gibbs BR30 oil will be our choice of lube. Using care and caution, gently lower the crank into the block. Now here's a tip. Do not spin it at this time because the bearings are not round until the cap is torqued. Now the caps can be positioned and tapped with a dead blow to seat it in the register and snugged up. Using a large dead blow, smack the front of the crank to the rear and the rear to the front. This squares up the thrust bearing before it's torqued. The same values apply with the crank installed. 65 on the inners, 35 on the outers. Using oil was an advantage in this case. It lets the crank spin easier than with assembly lube, so you feel how free it turns over. There should be absolutely no bind. Thrust is a go as well at 7 thousandths. Now the oil gallery plugs can go in. We'll use high pressure lube on them to avoid galling. No sealant here since they're inside the timing cover. Moving forward takes us to the Eagle rods and Molle pistons. Now the rods are their forged H-beam lightweight design that have a 6-inch center-to-center length. Now the small end accepts a 927 thousandths wrist pin, and the big end shares the same bearing diameter as a small block 283 Chevy, which is 2 inches. Holding the cap on are ARP 2000 rod bolts. The pistons are Molle's forged flat top design with -5 cc valve reliefs. They have a 1mm, 1mm, 2mm ring gland for reduced friction and an anti-wear coating to protect the piston during cold starts. Now something we like about them, instead of spiral locks, they use wire locks to install the wrist pin for an easier installation. Assembly is easy. A little bit of oil in the bushing. Make sure the orientation of the rod and the piston are correct. And slide the wrist pin between the two. And here's the easiest way to install these wire locks. We have 7 more to go, so while you take a break, we'll file fit the rings.
Glad you're back with us for the assembly of our Dirt Late model engine. We gapped the top ring to 21 thousandths and the second to 25 thousandths. That's due to the heat and abuse this engine will see under the extreme conditions of circle track dirt racing. Now the assemblies are ready to drop in the bores. With oil for lube on the rings and skirts, the assembly will go into this tapered ring compressor. It's placed on the deck and a piston knocker is used to drive it home, making sure not to nick the journal down low. Once seated, the cap is installed and the rod bolts are snugged up for now. And with the rest in, we can torque the rod bolts to 43 foot-pounds using ARP Ultra Torque Lube.
Since this is a purpose-built racing engine, it requires a camshaft with specific specs and features that aren't found in street grinds like this.